Grand Rising loves. Happy Wednesday. Wednesday is the day ruled by Mercury. And so Mercury is the planet of perception, how we perceive things. And everyone's perception is unique. Just as we are unique, everyone's perception is unique. And wherever your Mercury is, that completely talks about how you process the things that you see, the things that you experience. That's what perception is. And so if you operate from the programming, then your perception will be skewed, because the ego, the programming, if it's filtered through that space, that is poisoned. It is literally an impediment. It is disease. And so that whole saying, seeing beyond the veil, I actually consider this ajna, the sixth chakra, like drapes more than a veil, because it's not sheer. When you are operating through ego, through any kind of programming, or what you are programmed to see or experience or expect, then the drapes are closed. And it completely skews your perception. If you allow your heart to lead you, that is in your highest integrity, and it actually opens the drapes, and then the third eye can actually function. So there's a lot of Western teachers that teach that the third eye and the sixth chakra are synonymous. That is not true. The third eye is actually not even a chakra. A chakra is a spinning vortex of energy that animates this earth suit. It propels us through the human experience. There's actually 114 of them in the body. The third eye is not a chakra, but the ajna is what connects the third eye to the crown chakra. And if the third eye is congested with a bunch of programming, ego, the mindset that you were taught, my music just straight cut the fuck off, then your perception will be skewed, period. And so there are some spiritual teachers, I'm just going to put it on, oh, here we go. So I just put it on shuffle and I'm choosing the first song. Be My Friend. So, and I love this when the beat drops. So anyhow, there are lots of spiritual teachers that talk about integrating the ego or befriending your ego. And that's insanity. Like, the ego literally needs to be removed. It has to be healed. That's the incessant chatter that people hear in their voice. It is not meant to be there. We are born with a clear intellect. It's supposed to be more like a colander, so that all of the divine wisdom that's filtered through it sounds like you. And so I don't think ever before I speak. And I know when my programming shows up, and it's with men. So being very aware of the ego is important, so that you can constantly chisel away so that there is complete ego death. And so anyhow, and we can talk more about that. I would love that conversation. I actually would love to make a live on leaking energy. That's really huge right now, because even me allowing myself to be visible, and I started realizing like that was part of my resistance to being so visible, and healing that karma of the Leo energy in myself to be visible, was because it opens me. And so I had this perception that it would make me vulnerable, and that's a lot of the witch wound. But honestly, it does open you to leak energy. But I have come to such a place of balance in my masculine and feminine. I can post my nearly naked body, myself dancing very sensually, just like the meme about eating pussy. And I have not received one single inappropriate DM, message, text, or picture. And so this is how I know that I have truly arrived in a balance within myself and reverence within myself, that energy is not even in my fucking reality. And I try to teach this to people. I'm like, understand, when I watch someone else's video of them dancing or sharing themselves or baring their skin, I can feel the invitation in that or the divinity in it. So, I mean, I say, like, when you're following people and you see all that stuff coming on your timeline, be very aware of what you are engaging with, because it can be sucking your energy. You're leaking energy into these other, because honestly, the invitation, those women who are posting themselves because they want attention, the invitation of their energy actually creates strands, cosmic strands of energy, where it is you are actually leaking energy to feed them. And that is not fucking okay. So you'll see, like, my follows list became really motherfucking small. And I'm very serious about that. And there are still some people lingering on my list because of this, I guess, loyalty. It's really kind of insidious. But I have stayed on that as a follow. And I really need to clear that up. But I want to have a live video to have this conversation so people can ask. Because this is also important in relationship. Like, if you're being intimate with someone and they're allowing themselves to engage in private message with other people, they're leaking energy. So that divine, sacred energy that belongs in that union is being leaked elsewhere. And so I'm seeing everyone joining. Mwah! Hello, Grand Rising. And so it's really important for us to be aware of how we leak that energy and also come to a divine balance within ourselves. And like I said, I don't get those kind of messages anymore. Like, literally, that is not even my reality. And so I can wear things like this that are pretty sheer, and I can be in my deepest feminine, and I'm not even getting cat calls anymore. And so that feels fucking good. It feels safe, and we should be allowed to feel safe. And that's the energy difference, right? Because there's lots of women that dress that way because they, even though they say, I hate this, they really want the attention, because I can feel that. I can feel them trying to create those strands to feed their energy, because they really don't, they're not a source on their own. And this has been the message that's been coming up for me from spirit too. So like yesterday, the sun card saying the sun cannot hide. But literally, like the night before, my ex calling me saying, you know, I really think going forward, you shouldn't share with men what you do for a living. And I'm like, what? What I do is who I am. And he's like, well, then going forward, you shouldn't share what you do or who you are right away, because men will always see that as something to conquer. And I call fucking bullshit. And, but he did gift me I think it's more of a confession, to be perfectly honest. It was a confession that actually that's where he was coming from. And I do see that, like, my most recent ex definitely was that, because he always talked about being like this savior, that he helps people. And I'm like, you know what? He's totally creating these cosmic strands to all of these needy ass women who like message him for help, and completely depleting that well that was meant for us to partake in. But he was actually refilling his well with me. Not fucking okay. And so there's that. And so I've had to move through the healing of that, but also realizing, like, damn, I got shit handled. And so this is my pull for the day. So the sacred geometry that showed up is infinity. And so whenever this comes up, I like talking about the fact that people know, think they know what infinite means, because it's so overused. It's like I love you, right? Sometimes people oversay it, and it's like, do you mean it? I always mean it when I say it. So when I say I love you, I so mean it. And so infinite is beyond measure. Beyond measure. It is unfathomable. So when you say it's an infinite, or we are infinite beings, we are beyond motherfucking measure. Like, why are you trying to fit yourself into this programmed nothing? And though when we realize our infinite self, we become everything and nothing. It's really an empowered place to be. And like I said, it eliminates those experiences of the lower frequency. I don't even have those experiences anymore, and that's fucking amazing. So it's the 53 card, by the way, which is an 8, which is infinite. Also 5-3, my birthday. It's beautiful. Thank you, Spirit, for giving that to me. And so new life showed up. This is beautiful. So I've been getting a lot of these abundance messages lately. New life talks about the spring after a sleep, after maybe a cold spell, after some harsh weather. All of a sudden there's blossoms and everything's new, and you cannot even imagine the things that will show up for you, because it's going to be so new. So I am excited, and I'm in complete surrender. I'm ready for that shit. And bring it on, because I've created space for it. When you create space, the possibilities are unfathomable. Unfathomable. So I'm like, yeah. And aquamarine is the stone that showed up today. Aquamarine is asking you if there's something that you need to release, right? So this also creates space. When you release, it creates space. Always remember that when you do release, to immediately fill it with gratitude. The reason why is you do not want to void, because then you will fall prey to those energies that are seeking to leak you, milk you, however you want to describe that. Release. And so the only piece of aquamarine I've been sharing it, is the Happy Buddha, which is really cool, because remember yesterday in my spread, the Buddha showed up and said that I was going to experience joy, and I'm like, yes. That's aquamarine. And so the Deer of Delta is the culmination of today's spread. And I love this, because this talks about, it doesn't matter if you've been mishandled, because your rank in spirit assures you protection. And like the bodyguards of spirit. And so I've often said this, like, you know, it's hard for me to be human, but I know my motherfucking rank in spirit, and that karmic ramifications are pretty swift for people that fuck with me. And I'm not saying that as a threat, and it's not a cockiness, it's just truth. And so this card says that it's like, it's okay for you to let go. It's okay for you to experience any kind of discomfort or even anger or rage around the way that you've been handled, because that you are so open-hearted and accepting and forgiving and loving, right? That people do prey on that. And it's really fucking sick, you know, but they do. And when they see something that has such great light and exudes love, it creates almost like this frothing primal energy in those of a lower frequency, because they're like, I need that. That's what I need. And instead of becoming it, they feed off of it. So I always say, like, I need to get better at being human, because because I am more spirit than human, it's hard for me to discern the present state. I always see potential in everyone. And so becoming more human is really my way. And it's the paradox. Really, we can't transcend these bodies until we really like revere them too. Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad. So that resonates with you. So these are my Ascended Masters that showed up today. And so this is karma releasing. And this is powerful because, yes, I've been feeling into that. So every relationship that I have come into, especially my most recent, but all of them are past life and deeply karmic. And so this is saying release the drama and karma releasing. So thank you, Saint Germain. He's going to help me cut those karmic ties and cancel those contracts. Thank you. Thank you. And then this is Archangel Metatron talking about working with children, and that when I work with children, it heals my own inner child. And I do tend to work with children a lot. I help psychic children. So if there's anyone on here, I know Amanda has asked me lots of questions about her kids, but I actually used to have a group for psychic children, and I would have at least one of their parents attend the group with their kids. And it really does help a lot. It helps them move through. But Archangel Metatron also cleanses the chakra system. So I like it that he also showed up as an ally today to cleanse any congestion out of my chakras, maybe karmic or otherwise. So he and Saint Germain having my back today is nice. And then choosing peace. And I actually have been feeling great peace. But what's cool about this dude is that literally the past 2 days, I've talked about his book so much. This is like validation of spirit saying, okay, we see you that you're sharing this information. Thank you. Thank you. This is a synchronicity. So that's cool. Jera showed up as my rune, and there is no reverse aspect to Jera, though it did show up in the reverse today. This basically echoes the same message as new life. It is after the long winter, the seeds that have been planted, it is now the harvest. I can reap the rewards of those seeds that have been planted, that work that has been done, my hard work. Now I am reaping the rewards of that hard work. So, fuck yes. What does Amanda say? Yes, thank you for always answering my questions from my voice. Oh, I love you. And then Lost Love. This talks about surrendering, healing, and release. And I like this because this also echoes the sentiment of the karma releasing. So sometimes it's really hard when a karmic relationship comes into your life because, okay, I know our humans are a hot mess and we're having issues, but our souls are so deeply entwined and in love. How do we separate the two? So it can be sticky and messy and hard to release. So I like that these both showed up today because it's telling me, okay, we see the work you're doing. And a fiery climax approaches. It's the full moon in Aries card. But we do have actually a full moon in Sag coming up, so it is a fiery moon. And full moons are always the build of emotion for the release. So I'm excited about the explosive climax that's approaching. So are there any questions? No questions? No, yes. Any questions about leaking energy? I do want to do a live. Wednesdays are my longest packed day. So I usually start like noon every day, but Wednesdays I go until easy 10 p.m. and they can be very draining. So I probably won't jump back on today, but I do want to create a conversation. So I do want it to be live. I like doing lives because they're interactive. So if questions come up or if anybody says anything or has feedback, I can share it, because usually if you're thinking something, someone else would be thinking it too, and or feeling into it. And this is the thing, like we've been playing human for millennia and millennia and millennia, but our spirits are ancient, our souls are infinite. So there's, with all possibility, right? Unfathomable possibility, there's really not a whole lot in the human experience, because the human experience is so limited that hasn't already been experienced, right? So if you tap into source, there's nothing that should be confusing or vague or discombobulated. I don't know. When you connect with source, it just removes effort out of a whole lot. It clears shit up. Since I feel so much, is leaking energy feel more intense? It's not that it would feel more intense, the leaking of energy. It's just that it exhausts you. So, like when I did that one video where I completely cracked myself open and was vulnerable, I was so exhausted, actually for days following. And it was Lisa that actually mentioned that she saw energy circling me. And I was very aware of that. I could feel it. But for someone else to validate that for me, it's important for us to know, like when we allow ourselves to be visible on the internet, that we are protected and that we also keep our own shit clean. Like I'm cordless and I'm constantly even cutting cords with my children. It's important to do that. They are sovereign beings. I am a sovereign being. You have to be your own source. Diana says the ways we consciously and unconsciously leak energy. So the way that we unconsciously leak energy is with those, like my children, someone that you really love and care about, and you know that they're going through some shit, that they're moving through heavy stuff, and you just want to help them, right? And so unconsciously you can cord into them or feed them or service their energy, and you should not fucking be doing that. The way that you hold space is to actually step back and creating a sacred container for them to feel safe to move through it on their own. That's what holding space is. And there's so many people out there that say that they're healers and everything, but they're tapping into the people that they're trying to help. And my recent ex is one, like he thinks he's a savior. He's like, if they need my energy, they can have it. And I'm like, you don't fucking get it. Like, no, it's not okay for you to allow people to tap into you, so I started to realize and recognize, witnessing him, that he's got the hero complex going on. Like he totally thinks that that's how he's earning his worth here, is leaking energy. And I'm like, no, you don't sacrifice yourself to earn worth. And that's not how you transcend the human experience. You have to become sovereign and also allow everyone to process their own shit and also be sovereign. That's the point. But that's huge ego. That's immense ego. Like I'm the savior. No, fuck that. And it's also a trauma response. Am I worthy? How do I become worthy? Oh, okay, you can just take anything you want from me. That's how I become worthy. No, fuck that. Amanda says, I feel like my brother so much more right now, and it feels intense. It can feel intense, especially when you're really close to someone, or like the karmic connections, right? So like my most deeply karmic relationship, he and I share literally like 30 past lives together. And we were lovers for 2 years, but now it's been actually a couple years, like a couple years, actually like a year and a half, but I can still feel him. And whenever I am doing my deepest healing, like when I had the sweat lodge 2 full moons ago, that was so intense for me. And that was a complete overhaul of my masculine, feminine energy in that Sweat Lodge. And immediately he texted me. And so I knew he felt me, and I can even feel the connection with him. So I knew he was just like, hey, how are you doing? Everything okay? And so I knew he could feel that. And so that those relationships are harder to sever. And am I leaking to him? I hope not. I just think that there's such a deep connection because I don't really feel exhausted in that. I feel a grief in it because I'm constantly, and I'm sure that's why Saint Germain showed up, and that also that lost love, because I do feel a grief in that connection, and I don't feel like it's even Sherry's. I feel it's ancient. So I have to work on releasing that. And so with this full moon and eclipse, I will be digging into that very deeply. Because that, I feel when I cancel that contract, when that's finally released, it's going to be huge space that's created, because that's like 30 past lives worth of pain. And I've always died before him, and I was always female. He was always male. We were always lovers together. So it's so deep, the intertwined love and grief and everything that we had to process together as souls. Okay, so Amanda says, okay, that makes sense, that maybe what's happening, I feel bad for him and I'm taking it on for him. Totally. So like even, okay, so what I teach also is like reporting the weather around it. Like make him aware of it. Say, wow, I feel how sad you are right now, or I feel how stressed you are right now. And really it's a win-win, okay? So one, you are honoring your intuition by telling him. So that starts to heal like the witch wound, right? And it heals the throat chakra, and it increases your intuition and your gifts by doing that. Two, it allows him to feel seen. Really, that's all anybody wants, is to feel worthy and seen. And when you say that to him, he right away can start healing any low self-worth or any of those old traumas in himself around being seen, around being worthy. You're giving him love. Like that's ultimate love. Like, I see you, and I also want you to be free. Take your shit back. You're sovereign, be free, right? And so you are gifting him real love. Like, that's love. Real love is freedom. Like, I want to be sovereign. I want you to be sovereign. Can we be sovereign together? That's love. And so that's win-win. He takes his own shit back and you're free. But then it deepens intimacy with the two of you as siblings. That's beautiful. Like, he knows that you will always see him and be a support to him. And you know that he will always trust you. And that trust, that validation outside of you will also help you to heal the self-doubt and the lack of trust that you have in yourself. So it's win-win when we do this. People don't understand that. Like, it's not about being the savior, and it's not, no. It's not about earning your worth anymore. Like, that's old paradigm shit. Like, be sovereign, be powerful, stand in your power. Any other questions? There's only 2 of you left on here. I gotta go get my healing space ready. My session's gonna start at noon, and she should be here very shortly. So I am going to go. I love you. Thank you for sharing your most valuable commodity with me, your time and your energy. I so appreciate you. I love you. And I am sorry for any disharmony that I myself have created. Please forgive me. Thank you for this opportunity. I love you. I love you. I love you.